at this point in time, just to minimize the background noise and distraction for all of the presenters. And lastly, I wanted to let you know that there will be an opportunity for a question and answer period. We will hold all questions and comments until the end of the presentation. And at that time, we invite you to write in your questions and comments through the chat box feature on the side of your toolbar, or to unmute your line at that point in time. So we will let you know when it is time for question and answer period. So I just wanted to give everyone a brief overview of what our time together will look like. So we have about the next 60 minutes together, and we will be going through a high-level overview and review of the Through Our Eyes program, just to bring everybody up to speed on what it is and why everyone has received that program on their front doorstep. We're also going to be taking a look at some of the tools that are incorporated in the guide that will help you get started, not only in planning, but guiding you through each of the sessions throughout the program. And lastly, we're going to be spending the better part of our time letting and hearing from some of the program users around their stories on how they have successfully implemented the programs in their home. So our real goal for today, our hope is that you will leave this webinar with ideas and some excitement around how this program might work for you in each of your homes. So we're really looking to showcase that the program can be carried out in a number of different ways, and that the guide, although is very supportive, is at the same time very flexible, allowing you to make it your own. So I'm now going to pass it over to Dee Lunder to give you a bit of an overview on the program.
Hello, everybody. I reiterate our thankfulness to you for spending an hour out of your day with us. So what we're seeing on the screen right now is a snapshot of what the front cover of the Through Our Eyes Bringing the Residents' Bill of Rights Alive program looks like. If you're joining us today and you work or live in a long-term care home in Ontario, you have received this program. It's in your home now. Our Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care provided project funding to OARC earlier this year. So as of March 31st this year, 2018, all long-term care homes in Ontario received this program. It was sent to your home to the attention of your administrator. So the Through Our Eyes Bringing the Residents' Bill of Rights Alive is the culmination of a few years of visionary work, dedication, and testing that yielded this very unique program that certainly aligns with the culture change movement in our long-term care homes. We discovered that the current form of Residents' Bill of Rights education that is being, lots of human resources and financial resources being poured into the current forms of education, we discovered that it was not as effective as it should be, no matter what type of format was utilized. So let's revisit now what the Through Our Eyes program is. What you've received is a binder, as I said, the cover of which looks just like the image on the screen right now. It is a comprehensive program, so within that binder, you'll find a DVD, worksheets, activities, and additional resource ideas to ensure that you have everything you need, all the tools that you need. This is an educational program, and it is based on the Residents' Bill of Rights that's created and delivered from the perspective of residents. Well, what do we mean by that? Residents living in long-term care homes for this program co-develop and deliver an education session with a team member or a staff member. So in fact, on page 9 of the guide, you'll read in larger, bluer font, and I'm quoting now from the guide, you'll read this on page 9. Please do not proceed with this program unless you agree to co-develop and co-facilitate this program with a resident. Refer to pages 20 to 24 for guidance. So we put that disclaimer right on, early on in the program so that you are advised and really encouraged to engage with a resident as you go through the program. So all of the resources that OARC develops are rooted in resident experience, designed to be used by residents and their team members. So Through Our Eyes was created with that foundational premise back a few years ago, with that idea in mind. We know that in long-term care homes today, more than 60%, and in some cases 70, if not 80% of residents living in long-term care homes are living with cognitive changes that often leave them unable to speak for themselves. With the Through Our Eyes program, all residents can be engaged as teachers, even those living with significant cognitive changes. This program is all about relationship building. What makes this experience so valuable are the authentic relationships that develop and then are subsequently nurtured throughout the process. The personal connections between people that live and work in long-term care homes, hearing directly from residents how what they see, what they hear and experience shapes their lives each and every day. Residents have declared over and over again that they want to be part of the solution, any and every solution really, to any issues that arise in their home. So with this program, they definitely are part of the solution. So you have this program in your home now. Thank you again for joining us today. We wanted to ensure that you have what you need. You have the encouragement, you have support, you have ideas, you have all the information you need to bring this program to life in your homes. As I mentioned, the program is quite comprehensive, so you will have, as you sit down and you thumb through the program, you'll see some worksheets. What we wanted to draw your attention to with this slide is a worksheet. This is called the Meeting Planning Worksheet. It's labeled 002. We certainly don't have time to go through all of the steps and stages and worksheets, but this one is kind of the blueprint, if you will. It shows you that there are 9 meetings in total that begin, and this worksheet begins with the very early stages of building relationships, becoming familiar with the content of an education session that you're working towards, building the session together, practicing, delivering the session, and then even a couple of meetings around debriefing. 2 of the meetings specifically involve your administrator, and you'll see that on the left-hand column, meeting number 1, and then what you don't see on the screen is meeting number 9, also involve your administrator. So let's have a look at this worksheet. Along the top row, you'll see that there are topics and timelines indicated. The column titled Resources, right along the top, the 4th column across is called Resources. This specifically indicates to you which worksheet you need to grab or which couple of worksheets you need to grab so that you have what you need to make the most of the time together for that meeting, team member with resident. We'd love to be with you at each of the meetings that you have, but of course that's not possible. So we created, in addition to the guide, we created an online resource to support each of the 9 meetings you'll have together. A series of 9 short video clips on YouTube. So what this screen is showing you now is what you'll see when you log on to a computer and you click on either meeting 1, 2, 3, all the way up to meeting number 9. You'll see a very short video, 1 or 2 minutes long, with myself. For those of you who are wondering what I look like, there I am. So each time you gather together, you'll view this short video. It's 1 or 2 minutes long, And what we wanted to do was welcome you, guide you, try to keep you focused on what the intent of that meeting is. The videos are not very long. They enable you to visualize the process from beginning to end. And it's really our opportunity to virtually connect with you each and every time you're working on the goal of developing this program. Back over to Josie Lee.
That we all have an understanding of what we have in front of us, we wanted to give you guys the opportunity to hear from individuals who have used the program to really help you envision the possibilities that this program can have. So with us today, we have 3 program users who are champions of the program and who have had great success with implementing and continuously growing the program within their own homes. So you will see how it has been applied very differently in each of their respective homes to the strengths and to the needs of their individuals. So here with us today to share their stories with you and to no doubt inspire you to try this program within your own home. We have Connie Redman, from Westmount Gardens, and Connie's in the top left-hand screen there. We also have Heather and Charlene, represented from Cambridge Country Manor. And last but not least, we have Naomi Stevenson from Trillium Villa. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Connie Redman. So Jennifer, if you could please just unmute Connie's line.
Hello.
Hi, Connie.
Hi. You can hear me okay?
We can.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. On your screen, you'll see a picture of myself and Willard. And he was one of a residents that co-facilitated the Through Our Eyes program that I did at Westmount Gardens when I was there. I've since moved to a new home, so I'm going to go through the whole experience again as I implement it here at the new home I'm at. But to get started, you need to recruit residents first. To find the right fit for facilitators can be tricky. You need to think to yourself, is there a resident that did public speaking in the past? This might be something that you could incorporate with them. Is there a resident that enjoys being in the public, is a natural performer? So I did have a resident, Lana, that was a main facilitator with me, and then Willard, who he was chosen because he was known to most of the residents, and he was a familiar face to the family and staff from when he had the ability to walk throughout the home. At the time of the program implementation, he was living with little or no verbal language at the time of the program. So this made it very impactful for the audience. Main thing to consider is to get consent from the resident or family member to make sure that it's okay that they participate. If we can go to the next slide. So I chose to, this is actually Willard here in his younger years. The way he was incorporated into a facilitating role is he did an I am statement, which you'll find in your user manuals. And I created that statement. Actually, it wasn't just me. It was him and his wife created that statement about Willard. And we had a voiceover done by actually one of our housekeeping males, did a voiceover of his I am statement, and it was presented with this slide and Willard sitting in front of the slide with the voiceover. So you can still implement some sort of facilitation role with a resident with those capabilities. I think we can go to the next slide. These are just some pictures, some examples. The residents and I discussed how we learned. So a lot of people learn in different ways. They learn by seeing, by doing, by hearing. So these are some of the examples. The middle picture there listed resident experiences. I had a focus group of residents, and we talked about some of the things they felt when they saw certain things in the home. So that is a slide that came up on my PowerPoint, because we created a PowerPoint also throughout the program as a seeing avenue of education. The residents also voiced over their resident experiences so that you could hear it, the audience could hear it and also read it. Therefore, it allowed the audience to kind of process what the feelings were and what was going on. And then the first slide, or the first picture there, are the commit to cards. They were handed out at the beginning as people came into our workshop session and asked to fill out before they left. So we had lots of feedback there, you can kind of see there. And the last picture there is just, it's the beginning slide of our PowerPoint presentation. Next one, next slide. And this is just a picture of Willard, myself, and who you can't see on the further side is Lana, providing facilitation of the Through Our Eyes program. The main hint is to make sure you're all together as you're facilitating, so it doesn't look like separation. And it's creating a sense of belonging between staff and residents. Another hint I could give you is examples of residents' thoughts. Try to get a variety of examples throughout the home. One of the mistakes I did is more of the examples were within the nursing department. 90% of long-term care is nursing, but it seemed to be a little bit offensive to the nursing staff, and to then have to explain that no, it's not just nursing, it's just 90% of the dealings is through the nursing department with residents. So try to give examples of you know, laundry and housekeeping, nursing, and recreation. Try to keep it diverse. Have Kleenex in your presentation room, because there was lots of tears as I presented, and Willard presented especially, because it just put that emotional connection between the person and the staff. And the next slide. So this is just an example of a poster. First, what we did within the home is we did our first session. It was like a trial session with the managers only. Then we went and graduated and did it to residents and family council. Then we incorporated it into staff training, and eventually we did some community outreach. And that's just a kind of an example of what we paired it with. It was an MPP from London at that time, but we invited other homes to come in, and it was well attended. So kind of to spread out the knowledge as well. And that's it for me.
Thanks so much, Connie. And for everybody on the line, there will be an opportunity again, like I said, at the end of our session to ask questions. You can ask questions to either ourselves or to all three of our presenters who will still be on the line with us. So now I would like to turn it over to Heather and Charlene to give their experience from Cambridge Country Manor.
Hi, everyone. So can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, so I'm going to start. Charlene's asked me to start. We took a little different tact, Charlene, with Charlene's involvement than the home you previously heard. And the excitement about this package that you have from OARC is that you can use this program in a way that works best for your home. That's why you're getting the opportunity to see different ways that it actually played out. When I was asked by our head office to participate in this as a pilot, I was excited because in our home we had reviewed and discussed 2 resident rights at each resident council meeting, family council, and staff team meeting, but I still felt, like Dee, that we needed it to be more alive, more connected to the specifics of the life of the residents in the home and the staff. So I was worried when we got the big binder how much work it might entail, And I was concerned about what residents would want to take on the role of co-chair, but really working through the binder and as the process unfolded, I got more and more excited, and I couldn't wait each week till our next meeting where we would get together and plan and share and brainstorm. And in our home, how it worked out, and Charlene's going to talk a little bit about that a little more, we're kind of excited because actually it's integrated into the resident activity calendar. So it's become part of the fabric of life here. It was reflected on our QIP. So Charlene has regular discussions with residents and then discusses and meets with staff at their team meetings. And we get the opportunity to have the insight to the resident perspective, do shared problem solving, have the opportunity for ideas that they come up with that we might not have thought of, and one of the most wonderful bonuses we hadn't anticipated was that they have so many positive things to say about the home, that was a real wonderful connection for staff. So I have been so grateful to work with Charlene, who's taken on this initiative. I very much enjoy working with her, and we've been very fortunate because although she's a resident, she also has a background as a nurse, so she sees all sides of the equation, and this has been a real gift for our process. So I'm going to give it over a little bit to Charlene now.
Hi. When they first approached me, I was totally intimidated by the whole idea, but somehow they conned me into it. And that's probably the correct wording. After we kind of got it together and decided that we were going to have meetings on a continuum with residents, the first meeting, you could just tell by the look on their faces and their body language, it was, oh yeah, here we go again. But somehow that changed during that meeting and became a little more positive, and they gave us input on both positive and negative, and gave us ideas how we could correct anything, they could correct anything that was negative, which wasn't as much as there was positive. As meetings wore on, there was more and more involvement, and they started to realize that we were serious, that we were really trying to make things better for them, and we're listening to their concerns.
I think one of the things too, Charlene, you were sharing is how it kind of expanded to residents talking about their own lives, their connection with families.
Exactly, both with their families who were still at home and people in here. And they started getting a little closer in here and kind of making friends and that type of thing, and appeared to be closer to us, and I certainly felt closer to Heather and Elizabeth. When I first came, I really didn't feel very free to talk to Heather. It was like being sent to the principal's office, which happened often enough when I was young. Anyhow, I've gotten past that thanks to her, and can approach her with concerns of residents and myself. And the meetings have been, I think, very positive. We have a lot of new residents, and we're starting this over again. And I think they'll continue to be very positive.
And that's to pick up on Charlene's point. One of the exciting things about this is you have new residents come into the facility and they start to participate. It again goes through that entire cycle that Charlene was talking about, where the residents actually have an opportunity to engage with each other and to engage with the staff and the management in a more what I would call a normative way. You know, it's more like how you go out with a friend and have a coffee and shoot the breeze. So we're just excited. And that's all I think we have to say at this point.
That's all I have anyway. Thank you.
Thank you both, Heather and Charlene, for sharing your story and experience with the program. So now I'm going to call on Naomi to share the experience of Trillium Villa.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Perfect. There I am. There is myself and my co-facilitator, Mary. And so our initial thoughts and planning, on the next slide, you'll see kind of where our brain was. And of course, for me, my initial thought was, yikes, I got this big white binder, and where do I start and how do I get to where I'm going? We definitely were excited to take part in the research on making sure this manual worked. However, I was thinking at the time, what did we get ourselves into? So to start off, like Connie had said, making sure I had the proper resident population, someone who would be excited to help co-facilitate and be passionate about that. So Mary was great at stepping up to the opportunity. And I actually provided her with a copy of her own manual, and we just kind of had a giggle about how big it was and that we would reconvene and get set up in a week and kind of try to figure out where it was that we were going to start. So when we first met, we were following the projected guidelines that are in the binder. So we were working through that initially, and we chose, when we were doing the digging deeper, we chose F, the rushing and feeling hurried. That would be our focus. And we decided that Mary would focus on examples of daily life and long-term care. She created scenarios for team members to place themselves in her shoes, and shared stories that were shared with her over meal times or, at various times throughout the home. She builds some examples to share using, I believe it's on worksheet 9, the when I hear blank, I feel, etc. So we kind of went in our own direction with things when we were following the projected guidelines, because Mary had a very busy life of hair appointments and outings and adventures that she had to go on. So we found ourselves rescheduling our meetings and things getting bumped around. So with the reality of life, we actually found it best to work together over blocked meetings. So we actually ordered lunch in and sat and worked through sessions. We checked in with the YouTube videos, which were great to give us feedback if we felt like we were on the right track. We definitely used worksheets 3 and 4. We used them more as discussion opportunities, though. When we were reviewing them, we almost felt like writing down our answers on talking about our training and experiences were too formal. It kind of made us both feel like we may do something wrong, in which there actually is nothing wrong that you can do with this program. And then worksheet 5, we definitely filled out to form our session and help us paint the bigger picture on where it was that we were going. So when you're exploring the whole manual and looking through all the resources, just some things and tools that we really enjoyed was definitely the video 27, the Residence Bill of Right video that's attached. We really focused on utilizing the IAM statements and creating that as part of our overall learning experience with our team members. The opening and closing remark templates on worksheets 8 and 9, we definitely used as a guiding light on how to introduce people, or introduce the program at a large and let them know kind of what our goal was, and to also thank them and appreciate them for the hard work that they do and to recognize that. The commitment cards were brought in as well, and the evaluation, we got lots of feedback that was useful. So after we had our meetings, I would say our grouped meetings, like we easily met for, an hour to an hour and a half reviewing and setting things up. But those doing it bulk in like 4 sessions just worked better for Mary, and we were able to move through with that. So and then we felt like we had it. We have this definitely. We were able to set time. Thankfully, our administrator was fully supportive of this program, and we were able to take part in our annual training. So you'll see on our next slide, I'll talk a bit about what our educational experience was. So for us at Trillium Villa, our educational experience was initially a 1-hour training session that was held 4 times over, and Mary led each one of those. So we opened up with, just explaining that this was a research project we were taking part in and a bit of what it was, just a quick introduction. And we actually took time to view the video 27 at the beginning of each training session. And then when the video was finished, Mary read her IAM statement. I then gave a brief overview and reminder of the residents' rights. And then Mary took over. It was a very candid opportunity for her to share moments and stories. And she actually is a retired nurse herself, a retired public health nurse as well. So she was passionate about presenting, teaching, and helping others learn. So she was able to give some pretty vivid examples of her understanding what it's like to be on the other side of that line. And then we use those closing remarks that we use the templates within the binder as our guiding light. We use the commitment cards at the end of the session. And how we used it was we asked the team members to fill out both sides. And they were filled out the same. And the team members were asked to keep the one side, tucked in their name tag, their lunch bag, wherever it may be, as a reminder to what they committed to, and to submit the other side of the card on the way out of the training, so that we could create a collage of the IAM statements and the things that we were committing to do as a home and as a team. We use those resources to create a centralized display of IAM statements. In our centralized area, there's the 3 images of the residents with their IAM statements typed out, and we created a word collage and an inspiration. So there's a centralized piece just to the dedication of the ongoing training and collaboration with the residents, and it gives a chance for people to read those IAM statements as they come through the home. So you'll see it continues on our simplified education opportunities. So it was such a big, vast undertaking with Mary that we kind of felt like we had the overall nuts and bolts under our hats, and we could figure out how to go forward. So we continually do some on-the-spot training with team members. And what I mean by that is, it's the day is planned, like the day is designated, but the resident and myself will just go around the home and gather whoever is available at that time. The resident starts with reading their IAM statement, and we have recently done one. Our most recent one was, actually it doesn't feel that recent anymore, it was back in February, was on anti-bullying and kindness on the Pink Shirt Day, the national day that takes place in February. So residents first talked about themselves through their IAM statement and focused on respect and kindness and what that meant to them and what that meant to each other and what that should look like within the home. So it's a neat way to keep building that in, and we get an overwhelming response with the IAM statements that the team members actually really love to get to know and hear from them directly. And it is always a candid experience, and it's very interesting and fun to see what comes out of our residents' mouths and the stories that they share. And we do pull in different residents to do that. So just so you can see on the next slide, we had such a powerful outcome that I have asked, we have done them through videos from residents speaking in person, and we've also done PowerPoint presentations with the voiceover. But for the ease of technology today, there is 2 here for you to hear. So I'll let Josie go ahead and do that. I know, I was going to say, Josie, I can't hear Mary speaking there.
Sorry, everyone on the other line, we aren't hearing the video?
No, the video isn't.
Okay, we can hear it on our end. So perhaps there's a bit of technical difficulty here.
We can't, hi Josie Lee, it's Jennifer. We can't hear it. Do you want to try the next video? It may be, a problem with the program, but we can give the next video a try.
Sure, let me try this one here, and just please let me know if you're hearing anything.
I'm sorry, Josie Lee, we're not hearing anything.
That's very unfortunate. We tried so hard to make sure that these could be embedded in the PowerPoint. Naomi, I'm very sorry, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to share the IM statements with our audience today.
That is okay. It's technology at its best. We all struggle with it. You can hear it kind of muffled only because I know what they sound like and what I should be hearing. So I don't know if it's just a volume level, but that's okay. So sorry to all you out there in the audience that you don't get to experience that. Oh, can you hold the phone to the computer? Is that an option for you guys?
Actually, Josie Lee and Naomi and everyone, what we'll try to do is embed the video into the slides that we'll repost on this platform.
Okay. Because the other thing with our videos too is that then we have those saved. I have them on like my USB drive. So if we're doing training and it's in a location or a space where residents aren't available, then they're able to also help present that way as well. But that is it for me. I'll turn it back over to you guys.
Okay.
Hi everyone, it's Dee here. For those of you who may not be familiar with the content of an IM statement, while we still have this slide up on your screen, basically what it is a collection of 8 or 10 sentences that begin with the words I am, or I have, or I love, and whoever is filling out that declaration really focuses in on what's truly important to that person. So mine sound very different than Josie Lee's. We have seen these presented publicly, and they really do serve to unite people who may not know a lot about each other. The very last line says, I'm not done yet, I'm still here, and I am whole. And often, you can hear a pin drop when that is declared, because traditionally speaking, we're moving away from a model of care in long-term care, moving away from an institutional model where People generally over the years, over the last few years, were removed from community, removed from their home, removed from an active life, placed into long-term care. And this is really looking at that concept straight in the face and saying, you know what, I'm in long-term care, but I'm not done yet. I'm still here and I am whole. No matter where you are as a resident along a physical journey, a cognitive change journey, it doesn't matter. Everyone declares that at the end of their IM statement, and they really, really do serve to bring all of the audience members right into the full personhood of whoever is speaking them with. And in Willard's case, it was a voiceover. Willard was at the front of the room, so everyone in the room heard a gentleman's voice declaring his IM statements. So we do encourage you to play with these and to have fun with them and to really allow the powerful impact that they can have.
And I think Naomi actually has a written copy of one of the IM statements that she's able to read for us as an alternative to it being declared.
Naomi, you just have to unmute your.
Yeah, sorry, I'm toggling between 3 computers trying to make things work on my end. All right, so I have an IM statement here that I will read to you. So I am an older woman, mother and grandmother. I am a former, I always get so choked up with these things. What is, me and Mary cried the first session, just so everyone knows. We got out of our systems and then we were good. All right, so let me refocus. I am an older woman, mother and grandmother. I am a former community nurse. I am very interested in people. I am one who tries to be helpful. I am aware of things around me and listen to individual conversations. I love my children and grandchildren. I like to knit, read, watch TV, and get my hair done. I dislike cold weather and insecure people. I hate that my handwriting is deteriorating even as I write. I dislike chocolate in any form and chicken. I have my mind and I am aware of my surroundings. I am content being my own person. I am not done yet. I am still here and I am whole. I am Mary Catherine Lindsay. There we go. So that's Mary. And we have Stella, who I will just open. I am 86 years old and have had 83 wonderful years. The last 3 haven't been so hot because I am diabetic and am now a double amputee. I am unable to walk but can put my own toothpaste on my brush, thank you. I am American born, British raised, and am now happy to be a Canadian. I love my daughters, also puppies, kittens, and baby elephants. I like chocolate and sunsets. I dislike pumpkin pie, pumpkin muffins, pumpkin spice tea, pumpkin anything. I dislike getting up early, also going to bed early. I love the theater and 19th century novels. I have acted, directed, and written plays for Theatre Sarnia for 25 years. I am contented. I am not done yet. I am still here, and I am whole, except for my legs. I am Stella Fontaine Wallace. So that is Mary and Stella.
Naomi, thank you so much for sharing those with us. I think everybody on the line is just as choked up, and I think that really brings through just how powerful this exercise is. So thank you very much for sharing that with everyone today. So just before we move into questions, We've just gone through an overview of what the program is. We've talked about some of the tools and worksheets that are embedded in the program to really help you get things started. We've just heard from 3 different homes on their experiences. We've heard how they all implemented and went about it a little bit differently, but have all reaped wonderful reward from this program. And so we just wanted to get an idea from all of you on the line, when you think or when you plan to bring this program to life in your home. So I just see that Jennifer has launched a poll. So if you could please just take 1 minute to think about this and let us know when you plan to move forward. So I'm still seeing a few votes come in, so I'm just going to give everybody a few more seconds. Okay, so you can see on your screen now, for those of you who participated in the poll, those are some of the responses we received. So we have an exciting 50% who are looking to implement the program in their homes within the next 3 to 6 months. We have relatively the same amount of people looking to implement it in the next 6 to 12 months. So thank you for participating in that poll. It just gives us a good idea around the level of support that we'll need to provide to all of the homes out there across the province. And we're really just excited and want to share with you our excitement with the response that has come in with this program. So again, thank you. So at this point, we are going to open it up for questions or comments. You can send in your questions through the chat box, which is located at the bottom of your taskbar, or you can individually unmute your lines to ask any of the speakers today a question personally. So Jennifer, I'm just going to hand it over to you to work through some of the questions that may have already been shared.
One question that's come through is the program available in French currently?
Hi, everyone. It's Dee here. That's an excellent question. OARC is currently working through the logistics of securing a project funding proposal that will be submitted to our Ministry of Health in order to be able to provide this and other of our tools in the French language. So currently it is not available, but we are working on that.
Hi, everybody. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat box area. You can also raise your hand as well, and then I'll unmute your line. If you click on the little hand button, I can always unmute your line to ask any questions.
Just while we're waiting, it's Dee here. I'm wondering if I could pull Naomi and Heather into this thought that I've had. Naomi, you said while you were speaking a few minutes ago that thankfully your administrator was a big supporter of the program. And I wrote that down because that caught me. And so I'm wondering, Heather, if you could provide some insight from an administrator's point of view, perhaps some ideas for other administrators, ways that you might encourage other administrators to really seize this program, to encourage the home to embrace it, and what homes might be able to do if perhaps the administrator isn't quite on board.
Sure. I think the first thing for me as an administrator was the opportunity to kind of leaf through the book myself. So I'm hoping other administrators and executive directors will be able to take a few minutes, even over lunch, to kind of have a look through it. So that was a good help for me. I think the second part for me was sitting down with the activation director, who really took a strong lead in this and is continuing to in helping explore how we could make this work. What was her vision? Obviously, as an executive director or administrator, you don't have the time necessarily to do the legwork and action it. And if you want excitement and buy-in, you need to have other people involved. So it was really a wonderful thing to have the activation director kind of carry the torch and work with residents to kind of think through who might be a person who might be interested to co-chair. So certainly as an administrator, once you have a co-chair and once you have the involvement of the activation lead, that's half your work done for you. And then it was my choice to continue to participate in some of the weekly meetings, because I really wanted to link in with the department heads and with the staff, and so I could provide that connection and incentive, where sometimes another department head, even as wonderful as the activation director isn't necessarily always able to have their staff teams made available to meet with the co-chair. So I had the ability to make that happen. I think the other part of it is that the department heads here as well, although we didn't really touch on them that much, were also really excited about the initiative. So they were thrilled to have Charlene come into the team meetings and to continue to come to the team meetings, to meet with their teams and kibitz and share the insights from the meetings. So really it's getting everybody to the point where they want to participate. If you can't have an administrator or executive director who has the opportunity or time to share that vision, then if there's someone in the home who can carry that torch with the administrator's blessing, then that would be a strong way to go. So if I hadn't have been able to be as involved as I was, I had a real confidence that the activity person could carry that torch, or the DOC could interact with the activation director to carry that torch. Hope that helps, Dee.
Yeah, actually, it's Jen here. We have a couple of questions, and Connie and Heather and Naomi, I have your lines open. We have a question as to how many residents did you involve in the program?
So it's Naomi here. So with our initial planning phase, we did all the initial planning was with one, myself and Mary, but then through that with our setup, we pulled in another two as part of our presentation, and that was through their IAM statements. So we were educating them, what that was and how it would be shared and how it would be displayed. So for us, it was one, essentially three, but one took the lead.
Thank you. We also have a couple of questions. I'll give you one. Was there any pushback from family or staff?
It's Connie, and I'll comment on this one. I had no pushback from families whatsoever. Staff, there was a little bit when I did the resident experiences and did the voiceover. For instance, in that one PowerPoint, there was a center picture that talked about a resident's experience, which said, when I hear staff talking to another staff about me and my presence, I feel degraded and like I am not here. I do have a name. Please do not refer to me in front of me as she or he. I found that using specific examples kind of helped push through that pushback. So, for example, for that statement, my example was, for instance, in care conferences. If we have the resident there in care conferences and the family member, often it's just a habit to look at the family member and talk about the resident that's sitting there instead of engaging and involving the resident and using the resident's name. So once you put a perspective to a certain material within the program or that you create, it seems to, that kind of light bulb comes off. It's like, aha, okay, I get it now. So using examples I found was very helpful.
And I would definitely second that. That's when the light bulbs did go off on team members' minds. You could see like, oh, have I done that before? Have I not knocked? Have I not introduced myself? Those simple little things. But those coming from the residents are much more powerful than coming from someone in our position.
Okay, do I have time for one more question, Josie Lee?
Yes, please.
Okay, actually, there's a couple of questions. I'm going to give you this one first. Is participation in this initiative mandatory for all homes? If so, what timeline is there for implementation?
Hi, everyone. It's Dee. No, this is not mandatory. When the Through Our Eyes program was shown to our Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care, the comments that came back from senior level folks in the ministry was, wow, this really aligns with the quality agenda of the Ministry of Health, to the point that they saw such value in homes having access to this type of education that they provided us with the funding so that every single home could receive a copy. It is not mandatory. That's the short answer. No, it's not mandatory.
Thank you. And we have another question. Somebody asking, how do you suggest involving residents who have some cognitive impairment?
The great examples that was shared with us today was through Connie and her experience with Willard. So having that individual, having their family member, their loved ones, team members in the home who may know them well, peers, working with and alongside that individual to help them share their story in some of the worksheets, such as an I am statement, and then having that powerful voiceover, I think really helped connect with some of the staff members and other team members within the home. And I don't know, Connie, if you would like to add a little bit to that around how you came up with that idea, or how if you had any other ideas that you worked with and implemented with residents living with cognitive changes.
That idea just basically came out of thinking, kind of posing the question to yourself, is how can I make this come alive? Willard is here. He is still alive, but how can we get his voice out? And it was just to voice over, as we did the resident experiences and voiceovering the resident experience statements. I thought, well, we can do that with Willard. And that is him truly facilitating, because his part in the program was the most powerful part that staff totally connected with. So there are ways to do that. You just need to be creative, and just him being there was part of a facilitation too. It was recognizing that he could do things as long as there was some modification or adaptability to it.
So another, oh, sorry.
If I could also share that one of the things that we found in having the residents meet together with Charlene as the co-chair is that as the residents began to really understand their rights in a more poignant fashion, they're able then to share with other residents, and they're able to advocate for residents who can't advocate for themselves in the way that we're accustomed to from a verbal point of view. And we saw some of that and still see some of that happening in the home. And I don't mean advocate in a militant way. Sometimes it's just the matter that it enables residents to speak up for other residents because they do live with other residents and they do get to know these individuals well. You know, and you might have a new staff person on, so you'll hear a resident say, oh, when she does that, this is what she means. And that's been a very exciting thing for us.
So, and something else I can build on that too. We also have done the slide over presentation, the voiceover PowerPoint presentations, and through our simplified training, I actually worked with some of the residents who have some cognitive impairment, and was able to sit and kind of ask the questions and script their answers. So when it came to them sharing their I am statement, they were completely capable of reading it, and, you know, would actually finish off with that, oh, that sounds a lot like me. But it was just taking that extra time to sit and have the conversation and to script it for them. And then, you know, what is your experience? And taking that and putting it to the paper and allowing them just to read the statements after the fact.
And so I just see one other question, and it's probably about all the time we have left today. One question around a home not receiving the resource binder. So I just wanted to reemphasize that every home did receive a copy of the resource guide. It was sent to the attention of the administrator. So I would ask that if you have not seen it, that you do connect with perhaps your front office or your administrator to try and locate that. If you aren't successful in your own measures, we would ask that you contact the office, and we are able to do a little bit of tracking to see who had signed for or received that package to help you and assist you in locating that binder within your home. So at this point, I think we are done for this afternoon. I know we're a little bit over time, so thank you everyone for your patience. I would like to say a special thank you to all of our guests and our presenters this afternoon, Connie, Heather, and Naomi. Thank you for your continued support and for sharing your experiences with the rest of the people on the line today. It's very valuable information, and I think will really help them get started with this program. And again, thank you to everyone who took the time out of their day to join us. And we hope that in the future you don't hesitate to reach out for support or to contact us to share your stories as you work through the program. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.